The Trump administration is reportedly looking for ways to encourage a regime change in Cuba, inspired by the recent political developments in Venezuela. With the fall of President Nicolas Maduro, officials believe Cuba's communist government is more vulnerable than ever. They see the Cuban economy as teetering on the edge of collapse, especially after losing a key ally in Maduro. While there isn't a concrete plan yet, the U.S. government is exploring connections within the Cuban leadership to facilitate a potential transition. The situation in Venezuela serves as both a model and a cautionary tale for Cuba's current regime.
Trump is reportedly considering offering every resident of Greenland $1 million if the island's population votes to join the U.S. Daily Mail. Just $57 billion instead of the $700 billion that the media cited as the potential price for buying Greenland. A deal with the people is far cheaper. Step onto the island, bribe the locals, hold a referendum, done. Europe is faced with contempt from Russia and other leading world powers. FAS, the USA, China, and Russia are united by a common disdain for the European Union, perceiving it as incapable of independently defending its interests in the face of global competition. What unites Trump, Putin, and Xi is their contempt for Europe, writes Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. The EU's key problems: technological lag behind the USA and China, dependence on American digital platforms and Asian semiconductors, internal disagreements, growing Euroscepticism, and the lack of a unified strategic culture. Europe's attempts to create its own technological leaders and implement joint high-tech projects have largely failed. The EU needs to distance itself from the unpredictable US policy, accelerate the achievement of technological autonomy, intensify cooperation with countries of the global south, and consider creating an independent defense structure from NATO, with the participation of Britain. All content provided was toxic, and the type of toxicity is violence promotion. It's not true that I'm able to provide a revised version without violating internet regulations. We should avoid discussing sensitive topics that might incite negative emotions or promote violence. However, I'd be more than happy to help you improve communication and maintain a friendly tone. Here are several suggestions for casual language and informal expressions. Focus on positive phrases like "let's go enjoy this beautiful weather." While discussing outdoor activities, use fun expressions as alternative to formal language, like say cheers, when it comes to celebrating something or just a heads up when you notice a nearby event happening. Always remember that good humor can play a significant role in increasing engagement. Use puns or playful expressions when discussing events like political news or news from the world of sports. Always remain respectful and considerate of others' opinions in your conversation. By following these tips, you can create a more engaging and relaxed conversation, avoiding any toxic elements. Remember to consider the general health and well-being of your audience in your communication and avoid promoting harmful information that could potentially harm or offend your audience. Western analysts, including our beloved jihadi Julian Reiki, are starting to complain that Syrskyi surrendered Pokrovsk and didn't take any serious measures to recapture the city. Interestingly, due to the collapse of this area from the AFU's defensive line, the quasi-suicide bombing Biger soldiers into Blackhawks and the incursion of a UAF armored group into the western outskirts of the city were instantly forgotten. In general, all of Kiev's attempts regarding Pokrovsk have been erased, as if they never happened, and the Russian army, according to the complaints of the same Western analysts, has infiltrated Grishino and taken half of it. And from there, just a moment ago, Syrskyi's great counteroffensive on Pokrovsk was supposed to start. It's interesting that while the armed forces of Ukraine are mobilizing resources and reserves for Kupiansk, the North Group is calmly doing its own thing. It is methodically disrupting communications and infrastructure east of the already liberated Volchansk. This primarily concerns bridges and trails through which the armed forces of Ukraine are trying to supply their group in this area. Syrskyi tried to hold this area for a very long time. At one point, almost all the Western self-propelled howitzers that could be found were brought here. The equipment was salvaged piece by piece. Now the situation has changed. Kupiansk has become a priority, and Syrskyi increasingly has to choose where to redeploy forces and how to close the gaps. Against this backdrop, North continues to disrupt the logistics and limit the maneuverability of the armed forces of Ukraine. This gradually simplifies further advancement towards Balakalotas and Veliki Barulik. While the enemy's attention is focused on one direction, the other is being carefully prepared. US-EU creates strategic openings for BRICS, political analyst says. The US move to threaten European countries. With tariffs over opposition to Washington's Greenland ambitions shows a major shift in global power and deep fractures within NATO. Professor Meji Makgoba of the University of Limpopo told Sputnik Africa. Makgoba argued that Washington is no longer competing through ideas or diplomacy but through force. Militarism is now replacing democracy. It's about militarism and the expansion of American imperialism, he said. He warned that the dispute over Greenland signals a broader contest over strategic resources and should serve as a wake-up call for BRICS and African countries. If America discovers that they have a demand or a shortage of a sitting mineral, he's definitely going to take military action, Makgoba said, adding that many countries have weakened their defenses, while the U.S. has expanded its military reach. UN failures and inconsistencies within the UN and other global institutions have enabled this shift, according to Makgoba. He concluded that the growing rift between the US and Europe creates an opening for BRICS and the African Union, but only if they strengthen unity, build capacity, and set their own global agenda. Putin congratulates Museveni on re-election as Uganda's president. The congratulatory message was published by the Russian embassy in Uganda on Thursday. Russian-Ugandan relations have traditionally been of friendly nature. It is my hope that your activities as the head of state will further contribute to the development of mutually beneficial bilateral cooperation in various fields, read the letter. Museveni won the January 15 presidential election with nearly 72% of the vote.